Hello.
Hello, world.
This is Steve Harnett,
Hello.
aka Toxin.
Yes, Mr. Steve Toxin here. I've had that name since I was 16-year-old. I was desperate for a punk name at the time.
Is that when you got your name Toxin? When
Yeah,
you were
I
a punk?
invented it. Well, I am a punk still.
When you first were?
Yeah, well, everyone had a punk name, so I invented it at school. And funny enough, here we are, almost 30 years later. And like when you throw shit against the wall, some of it sticks. So I've still got that name. Only a few, but people think Steve Harnett and Toxin are two different people. It's hilarious.
That's true.
And like Tenpole Tudor doesn't even know who I am, and I've had a beer with him. But if he, you know, he probably knows he's Toxin. But if he knew Steve Harnett he was talking to, he'd probably have an heart attack. So please don't give the game away.
So he thinks you're two different people?
Yes.
One of them he likes and one of them he doesn't?
Probably. It's great having two. It's like having a split personality, you know.
Tell us about this video, the day
I'm going to tell you about
the country
this rather
died.
excellent DVD. Yes.
No, that won't.
And
how many times have you watched it now?
I've watched it about 10 times.
Good Lord.
Yes. It's got my brother's band at the end. And
So what's it like?
And they put their 2p's worth in, travelling up and down motorways and eating in the Blue Star in Doncaster, getting beans and toast. No, is it beans and
You
chips?
look like grandfather of punk from here.
Yes, got a few grey hairs in the clip here. And we always used to stop at the Blue Star in Doncaster, just these like women, these really kind of muscly women.
Sorry, what's the name of your brother's band?
Reality, sorry.
Reality.
And we always used to stop at the Blue Star. I've said that about 100 times in Doncaster. Coming back, we would make a diversion. Doesn't matter where we were in the north of England, we would always go for the Blue Star in Doncaster, just so we could hear the old women swear at the Bible. No, actually, they used to swear, and they would tell them to mind their own language. So
what the old ladies would tell?
Yes,
Okay.
and you used to get beans and chips, and the bingo ticket would be floating in the beans, all the grease.
How old were you when you first became a punk?
I think it's that cheesy thing about, but I always felt like I was a punk. Really, when I lived in my mum and dad's house, we had a lady that used to come around cleaning, and I was desperate to shock her, but it was quite hard playing Status Quo up through glass, but sort of Sex Pistols.
Not quite Anarchy.
No, but the sort of Sex Pistols, it sort of worked a bit better, I think.
Right.
But it was my middle brother who first got a copy of me and My Anarchy in '76. And I was kind of hooked from then on. But
how old were you in those days when
I
you
was
first got hooked?
14 in.
Wow.
I was 14 in 76. I was 14, and 15 was 1977. And I started to pick up the music papers, NME, Sounds, and everything. And the Pistols were basically on every front cover, and I kind of followed the trail really.
Was it really revolutionary, the
Yeah,
music
well,
at the time, like we think it is now?
I think because of your age, because of my age, I was totally into almost every record that came out. Nowadays, I'd probably be a bit more judgmental, but I mean, the things like Dr. Feelgood and Eddie and the Hot Rods warmed it up for me. And I got really excited about the time God Save the Queen came out, and I've still got a front cover. I've still got all the old poster mags. Well, in fact, I lost them all, but I recently bought them all again. But buying those, I'll always...
You do always seem to be looking for records, and you're always looking like, you know, proper geeks do.
Yeah,
if it's alright to say that.
That's fine. Maybe I am a train spotter, but it keeps me focused, and I need focusing. You know, there's too many people my age who have given up.
I think it's ageless now. We all feel we need focusing.
I think we'll probably go on for another 20 years maybe, but it's.
But what's made you stick with punk? I mean, yeah, a lot of people have fads when they're kids.
I know, I cannot understand that something so exciting and potent can be a fad. And it's always stuck with me. I think it must have always been there, because I like things like Alice Cooper, David Bowie, but it's always seemed to stuck with me. Even though I've gone through phases of maybe not being that interested, I think it's just me. It's a motivating force, and I think some people have religion, go to church, but to me the whole punk, rock and roll, metal, whatever, I just think it just goes on. I mean, people are still buying Jimi Hendrix shit, aren't they? So
Even I did the other day.
exactly. You see, so if it's good, it sort of stays.
It's forever.
But people are going to find it maybe 10 years later. So I think to create something is always very good because people find it years later. And there's always like normal people. I know when I was 15, 16, people used to try and laugh, take the piss out of me. I got, hit a few times. But it's always the people like me that did something, produced things, created something, that have always gone on to have the most successful jobs and whatever. And these arseholes are nowhere near, They're just completely oblivious.
Well, I know what you do for your work, so that makes me giggle a little bit because I think it's really cool, your job. But tell us about anything you feel like. You've got, I don't know, this can only last 10 minutes, so
right. Well, I think
we're on
I'm
6.20.
Well, introducing this. I mean, this is a superb DVD, and it's got my brother's band on right at the end.
Okay, and what's the DVD about roughly?
Well, it's about a narco punk, but I mean, I think really, Anarcho is still just another label because I think it's.
Yeah, what does that mean? Is that another wave of what happened with punks?
Yeah, I think the bands wanted to continue on where the Clash's first album kind of ended, I think.
So it's inspired by the Clash's.
Yeah, a lot of people that are into the Clash and stuff like that wanted to carry it on.
Cool.
I mean, I think
it wasn't the pop end of the punk side, though, was it?
No, because it wasn't supposed to be commercial. It was kind of an anti-commercial. I think at that time, if you weren't 100% into it, there was two kind of things. A lot of people, the word poser was bandied around a lot, and people had to prove their salt, But I think kind of
it's like now you hear a lot about 76, 77,
yes.
But you were actually like a child that then went on to the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I went to see the Jam in 77, and I saw the Buzzcocks in 78 and Stiff Little Fingers in 78. But after that time, around 79, music branched off into different things. It went into two-tone. You had bands like the UK Subs that came up. They were actually going a long time before then, but they actually kind of came into profile around 79. And I went with those bands like the Ruts and the Subs and that. And other people went into things like, kind of non-guitar. And I couldn't get into that, so that's probably where I stuck.
So this is your first interview. Oops, sharp phone. This is your first interview with me. I'm Tara Red. Hello.
Hello.
And
lovely woman, by the way.
This is Fruck It. Fruck It, yeah.
It's
and
Fruck It All.
Tell us your name and give us 10 seconds of whatever.
My name. Yeah, I'm Steve Arnett, brother known in the punk community as Steve Thompson.
Thank you.
Good night.
See you again.
Bye.